Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. These next couple videos, I'm going to just take you guys through what was going on in Old Metro when I first got arrested. You know, like I said, I caught all these cases and I'm going to court. But in Old Metro, the difference between the politics in the county jail and the penitentiary, at least as far as it is out here in Utah. I can't speak on what it's like in other states or anything out here. But in Utah, there's not really a racial divide as far as, like, you know, when you go into the county jail, the blacks, the whites, the Mexicans, the Asians, there's never, in the jail, there's never enough, like, Asian to ever have an Asian card or anything like that. I'm usually in the different pods that I get put into. I'm usually the only Asian. Maybe one other person is in there with me, or maybe they might have an Islander, like a couple Tongans, Samoans in a unit with me. But pretty much, there's really no, this is the Asian, this is the black, this is the whites, or so on and so forth. It's just more of, you know, whatever gang you from, whatever associations you have, because, you know, the Mexicans out here, they beef with each other. The Bloods and the Crips, they beef with each other. And as you already know, when it comes to the Asians, at that time in the 90s, we were beefing practically with almost every Asian hood out here in Utah. You know, then when it comes to the Polynesians, you know, the Islanders, the Tongans, and Samoans, they all have their own different gangs and they all beef with each other. So there's really no alliance when it comes to racial stuff. Everybody's pretty much on your own outside the few people that you associate with and line yourself with. So when I first come in Old Metro, after a few months, I get put upstairs in 2C6. So when they moved me in 2C6, there was a Sereno in there named Trouble, a white dude named Kenny. Kenny was, I want to say Kenny, I might have his name wrong. It's been a long time. But he was like 17. He got certified as an adult. So he was in the county jail with us. But he was a tall, slim, white kid that he was down. And, you know, at first, like, hey, you a white boy? And he was like, nah, don't call me no white boy. And the difference between a white boy and a white dude is the people that are racist, that subscribe to the neo-Nazi and the gangs or whatever, they tell you, yeah, I'm a white boy. When they say that, they're letting you know that, you know, I'm with the Swazis and all that stuff. And the reason I like that Kenny, me and him kicked it when I got into the block is because he's like, hey, yeah, I'm white, but I'm not a white boy, because he didn't want to be classified as one of those dudes that are, you know, with all the neo-Nazi white supremacist stuff. So when I first get in there, it was that youngster, the Mexican dude named Trouble, and this other, he's half white, half Mexican, which he was kind of like their do boy or whatever, but that was their little clique, right? So, you know, when you go into a pod, when you're getting moved around in Old Metro, you better tie up your shoelaces and tighten up your jumpsuit, because out here at home, being home, we're all active. And being out in the street, you've already bumped heads with somebody here and there from different gangs or whatever. It might not be like a beef between my hood and their hood, but it might be a beef between me and them because of whatever else happens that transpire out here. So you never know. When I tell you guys that once you get locked up, you're behind enemy lines, that's what it is. And for me, I'm not from a big gang out here, you know, and when we get locked up, when I got locked up, they had me separated from the rest of my homeboys because I was on the top of the indictment. I was the guy that they were trying to take down. So they would kept me separated from, everybody else. Because when they first locked me up, they put me up in Davis County, which is north of here, about 45 minutes towards Ogden, to keep me separated from somebody else. From the When I first got locked up, they put me up in Ogden, which is about 45 minutes north of, or they put me in Davis County, which is about 30, 40 minutes north of Salt Lake. They did that to keep me segregated from all my homeboys that were getting indicted. But after a few months over there, the warden had called the marshals and kicked me out of their jail. So they put me in Salt Lake County. So when I get put in 2C6, like I said, when you go into a pod, you better have your shoelaces tied up, your jumpsuit tightened up, and be ready for whatever. So when I walk into the pod, the tier, I have my bedroll. I put my bedroll on top of the table, because it's the way the tier is in Old Metro, it's a 14 to 16 man tank, but it's split in half. One side has 2 tables for you to eat and stuff, and 2 bunk beds, and the other side just has bunk bed all around, on the side of the tier. Well, the reason I do that is because you don't know what you're walking into. The people in the tiers are already established. Everybody's got their own little clique already. You're the new guy, and the way the county works is when you come in, people are hitting you up for your paperwork. Like, what are you in here for? This and that. But before I got moved into C6, like I said, I've already been in the jail for about 3, 4, maybe 4 months already. So people already know that I'm in there. They know who I am. So I go in, I put my bedroll on top of the table, and I wait. I wait for somebody to come up and hit me up. Hey, where you from? What's up? This and that, the routine. I don't just go in, make my bed and settle in, because, like I said, we're active right now. And one thing I'm not trying to do is just walk into a space blind and get fucking, side blasted or jumped or the rest of that. So I settle in a tier and I'm there. Everybody know me, and my paperwork checks out, so I settle in. But when I say Old Metro is the dungeon, that's what I mean. Metro is the dungeon. And we had this thing every Saturday night, on the weekends, they let you stay up till like 12 o'clock before they close the slider that divides the tier. So on the weekends, we'd have boxing matches. We wrap people's hands up with toilet paper. We put the toilet paper over their knuckles, put a sock over it, and wrap it up with a sheet. And we make people box, Or sometimes you have people that volunteer to box, but it's for entertainment and stuff. But of course, at the same time, when you got dudes that are in there that you feel like are lames or whatever, you put them up and make them fight and all that. So this dude that I'm telling the story about, he's half Mexican, half white. He's with the clique with Trouble and that dude Kenny. And it's late at night, and I'm drawing. I'm on the side with the 2 tables. I moved over to where it's just the tables and the 2 bunk beds. So at night they close the slider. It's just me and my bunkie and 2 other people that's on a bunk bed on our side, while the other 12 dudes are locked on the other side. They close the slider at 10 o'clock during the weekdays. They open it at 6 o'clock every morning for breakfast, and they keep it open until 10 o'clock that evening, that night. So I'm sitting there drawing, and it's late at night, right? So I'm sitting there drawing, and it's on the weekend, and I hear that dude, like I don't remember his name, but I hear him talking to this old man. And the old man was asking him, like, man, why are you always doing that? Because, when people come into the tier, he's the one that jumps out of the bed, goes up to him, and be like, hey, man, where you from? What's your paperwork? This and that. And, just punking these these dudes that's coming in. Like, he didn't do that to me when I came in, but he was doing it to other people that was coming in. You know, he's picking and choosing who he's gonna punk and all that, right? And I've been in the tier now for about 2-3 months. So, you know, me, I absorb information subconsciously. It's there, it's in the back of my head. I'm not like evaluating or giving my opinion on things, but I notice everything. You have to. When you're in an environment like that, you have to notice everything, because any little thing that you miss could mean your health or even your life. So I'm very aware of my surroundings, right? And the politics and everything else that goes on. So I overhear the conversation, and the old man was asking him like, "Hey, why you be doing that to people?" You know, talking about the dudes that come in that he was punking and stuff all the time. And the dude, he's just my size. He's not that big or anything, but because he's only a 14-man tank, but he's running with the Serrano dude named Trouble and the white dude named Kenny. So they kind of like half-ass like they're running the tier or something, or at least he thinks that. So the old man again asked him like, "Hey man, why you doing that?" Because prior to that conversation, they just beat up somebody. They just, you know, beat up somebody, took their shit or whatever. And he tells the old man, he's like, "Man, when people come in here, you gotta make sure they got heart. You know, we don't want nobody that ain't got no heart living in a block." So, you know, I wasn't thinking anything of it or whatever. Like, for me, I don't really think about what I'm doing. I pretty much react on a subconscious level. So later on that night, the dude's over there sleeping in his bed, and for somehow something about that conversation I overheard, I couldn't let go, right? Because like in my heart of heart, I know this dude's a bitch. You know, in my heart of heart, I know this dude ain't built like that, but he's doing that to these dudes that's coming in our tier because he has the backing of some other people, and the dudes that he's doing it to are youngsters that's coming into the jail. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a youngster myself. I'm 21 at the time, but there's a difference between my 21 and somebody else's 21, because I'm out here in the streets. I'm out here doing what I'm doing. I'm not better accustomed, but I'm conditioned for this environment. Like, I know what to expect. I know what I got myself into, and I'm with it. But you got, you know, kids out there that got pulled over and had some weed on them, or they were just out there smoking and got caught up, or they broke into a car. You know, all sorts of people come through the county jail. The cases come from petty theft to bodies. So from my perspective, he was smart about knowing who he can punk and push around and all the rest of it. So later that night, I go up to Trouble and the dude Kenny, you know, the Mexican dude and the white dude, and I'm like, "Hey man, what's up with your homeboy?" He's like, "Why, what's up?" I said, "You guys backing him on anything?" And they were just looking at me and like, "What do you mean?" I said, I'm trying to go holler at him. You know, and for me, it's out of respect to let them know what I'm, you know, not necessarily what I'm about to do, but I just want to understand if I beat up this dude, if I gotta, you know, fight these other two dudes too. And by that time, I already established who I am, how I conduct myself, and all the rest. And the two dudes are like, "Shit, do whatever you do." I said, "All right." So in a county jail, we get a jumpsuit, you know, a red jumpsuit. But the orderlies, they get T-shirts. They get you know, them pants and a T-shirt, either red or blue. that signifies that they're the orderly, that they're working in a jail, cleaning up, serving food, passing out laundry, so on and so forth. So I have a pair of those shirts because you don't want to wear a jumpsuit the whole time, and then I'm not just going around with my shirt off. But I had, through the course of my time, I had accumulated some items, and one of them was a blue orderly shirt. Now, prior to this, there was a couple of incidents where this dude went over there and was punking a couple of these youngsters and was making them dance on the table, right? It's things that they were doing that were just like degrading and all that, because they know that these people, their target, they're scared or whatever, and he's got people that's backing his play, or nobody knows him, so he present that persona that he's tough and is like that. And he had a couple of these dudes, a couple of weeks prior, dancing on a table for late night entertainment. So that being in mind, I grabbed a T-shirt. He's laying down. He's reading a book on his bunk. He's in the island bunk. You got the bunks that go around the tiered, and you got one that's right in the middle of it on the other side. So I grabbed the T-shirt, and he's reading a book, and I walk over there, and I poke him. Boom, boom. He looks up at me. He's like, "Oh, what's up, T.O.P.?" He was calling me T.O.P. over there, or Top, or whatever. That's not my nickname or nothing. That's just the gang that I'm from. So they end up, I got it tattooed on me, so they got a habit of calling me that. I don't go by that or anything like that, just to be clear. But, so I poke him, and he looks up at me, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, T.O.P.?" I say, "What's up, homie?" I said, "What's up?" He puts his book down, and he sits up. I say, "Shit, it's Saturday night, right?" He's like, "Yeah." Because, right, like I said, on the weekend, they leave the slider open till 12 o'clock. I said, "We need some entertainment." He's like, "Okay, yeah, what's up?" So here's a T-shirt, right? I hand him my blue T-shirt, or I put the blue T-shirt out. So I want you to put this on, tie it up, and go dance on the table. He's like, "Huh?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Here's a T-shirt. I want you to put it on and get your bitch ass on that table and dance for us." So when I said that, he goes to get to stand up, and I push him back down on the bunk. I said, "Man, put this fucking T-shirt on." He said, "Man, why are you tripping, T.O.P.? Why are you tripping?" I was like, "Shit, I just want to see if you got heart, homie." And I looked at him, and I could see in his face that he's about to buck. So when I see him move like he was about to buck, I just hook him. Bop! I hit him in his left side, his left ear. I hit him. Bop! And when I hit him, in my mind, right, I'm thinking he's gonna be like, "Oh," knock him out or flop over or anything. Well, when I hit him, his head barely moved, just stick. And I'm like, because I told you, I've never knocked anybody out with one hit outside of the CO. And I told you my opinion on that. I think he was playing possum, because I never knocked nobody out with one hit before then or after then. So when I hit this dude, and his head just kind of like moved a little bit, I'm like, "Ooh, okay, maybe this guy is, tougher than I thought," right? So, but I'm not just taking off on him. I hit him, and now I'm waiting for him to react. And it's, time seems to stop, because, I already made the move. I already, put my hands on him. So now it's just like, if he's really about the business, then we're gonna get it in. But at the same time, I have the upper hand because I'm standing and he's still sitting on the bunk. So he's like, "Man, why you tripping?" So when that came out of his mouth, I already knew then that, okay, he don't want, because, if somebody hits you and you with the funk and that hit, like from my perspective, it didn't look like I did any damage to him. He's going to pop up on his feet and we're going to get it in. But when that didn't happen, and he was like, man, why are you tripping? I'm like, nah, man, get your ass up and go dance on the fucking table. It's like, why are you tripping? I was like, nah. I said, you keep doing it. I said, isn't this how it works? You do this to all these motherfuckers that come through this door, right? It's like, so what are we doing? Go get your ass up and dance. What's up? And as I'm saying that, I see his ear start leaking. I busted something in his ear, and the blood is just dripping out of his ear. Like I said, when I hit him, I didn't think that I hit him that hard. I don't even know if I can hit hard, but when the blood started dripping, he felt it, and he put his hand up, and he touched it and looked at it, and I think when he saw it, that's when the reality kicked in for him. And all of us, our natural instinct is fight or flight, right? Anytime you get into a situation when you don't have time to think about what's going on and your subconscious takes over, this is who you really are. You're either going to run or you're going to fight. And at that moment, when he realized that, his subconscious took over, and his natural instinct was to flee. Why? Because at the end of the day, in his heart of heart, just like I evaluated, he was a coward. And he was only being tough because the people that he was picking on were weaker than him, and because he felt that he had backing, that lent him some heart. So I tell him, man, get your ass up, put this fucking shirt on, and get your ass up on the table. But now that his ear is bleeding, he's like, man, can I take a shower first? Can I take a shower first? I said, yeah, go clean yourself up. So he gets this shit and goes and takes a shower. But while he's in the shower, Trouble goes over there and opens, the shower is right there in the room. You got the two-tier, there's no privacy. You got two toilets, one toilet on the side with the table, and another toilet on the side with the bunk beds, and one shower. So so he goes into the shower, and while he's in the shower, Trouble, the Mexican dude, he goes over there and opens up the curtain. And when he opens up the curtain, he's in there in the shower crying, right? And I'm not laughing at him or anything like that, but I'm just like, like, you made me do this to you, because for me, like, growing up, man, I hate bullies, man. I just, being a bully just for the sake of being a bully, I've just never been with that shit. And when I see it, it just, I don't know what to tell you. I'm always, sometimes I stick my nose in other people's business that I probably shouldn't. But when I feel adamant about something, it's what it is. And when I make up my mind to do something, I'm all in. So when Trouble opens the curtain, he's in there crying. Now Trouble's like, man, what the fuck, man? What the hell are you doing? Oh, man. This was his boy. This is his boy. This was, the trio. This is the dude. I don't know if they were saying him to punk these dudes or if he was punking these dudes out of his own accord because he felt like he had people behind him to back him up. I don't know his thought process. But like I said, I overheard the conversation about, when the old man asked him, like, why you do these things? And he's like, oh, we got to test them to make sure they got heart and all this and that. So for me, I just wanted to test him, see if he had heart, right? And obviously, he didn't. So he's in the shower, fucking crying. whatever. So Trouble tells him, man, finish that shit up. Hurry up. Right? So he closes back the curtain. He gets done showering. And when he gets done showering, I pretty much like lost steam already. Because, I'm unless we're enemies, unless we're beefing over something, I'm not the type to kick you while you're down. So when he came back out of the shower and got dressed up, he went to his bunk and he was looking sad. So I was just, I let it go. I didn't pursue it. I didn't force him to get on the table to dance or anything like that. But he was like, man, it's like, what did I do? What did I do? I said, homie, I'm just doing to you what you be doing to all these kids coming through this door for no apparent reason. You over here beating up on these kids, taking these kids shit. That me, if you're not a sex offender and you're not a rat, you shouldn't be getting and you're not a douchebag, then there's no, just because you can't fight, just because you're small, isn't an excuse for somebody to punk you, But if you're a rat or a fucking sex offender, then that's fair game. That's whatever. I don't got no love for that shit, But, I remember when I first come to the county jail, I'm by myself. I'm small, man. And I'd be damned if motherfuckers just punk me just for the sake of punking me because they think they're bigger than me or because they think they're tougher than me. I'm just not cool with that, And I explained that to him. And he's like, he didn't really say nothing, whatever. 12 o'clock, the sliders closed that divides us. Like I said, he lives on the other side with the 12 bunk beds, and I live on the side with the table. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, they open that rack, they open that slider open, and also the door to our tier for the orderlies to push in the breakfast tray, because the orderlies will come in, they'll stack the trays right in front of the door. The guards will open the door, and then somebody goes in there and pulls it all in and pass it out to everybody to eat. So at 6 o'clock, when the door's rack opens up, and when they open the door for the trays to come into our tank, this dude jumps out of bed in his underwear and just runs out over the block, right? And that was that. But during time, you run into a lot of people that put out that persona that they're tough, that put out that persona that they with the funk. For a lot of those dudes, what lends them heart is the group of people they have behind them, whether they're from a big gang or they got some tough homies that are gonna back their plays. But here's what I want to emphasize: like people that are secure in who they are and their ability and what they're about, they understand that things can get serious, and they're not just gonna go and stir up shit just for the sake of stirring up shit. It's the ones that are faking, trying to put out an image. Those are the ones that are loud. Those are the ones that are always walking around with their chests out and all the rest. And in my experience, dudes like that, when you poke them, they're gonna deflate. So I've never been one to judge somebody on their outer appearance. Because a lot of people keep people away from them by being loud, by poking up. Like them fish, when the predators come, they blow themselves up and make them look bigger than they are, so it scares off the prey. Us humans, we all have that technique too. When you see people that do that on a constant basis, then you can pretty much be sure that they're just a blowfish and not the real deal. Welcome to the USP.